Coming at you live from my home studio in beautiful La Puente, California. This is the All Dodgers podcast. And what's going on, fam? I haven't been here for a little while. Took a bit of a breather. Wasn't feeling all that great in the middle of the week. So we have some Dodger baseball that has happened since we were last live. We'll be talking about that on today's show. Thoughts on the first couple of games. Of course, we're about an hour from first pitch here on Saturday. We'll have the good from spring so far, the bad, and the not so great, at least in my opinion. We do have a Bobby Miller update. We have the latest in what feels like a growing long line of Will Smith injury news and woes, and something that's kind of bugging me that we're going to talk about, and just generally the latest updates out of Camelback Ranch. Pretty much an informational show today. We'll hang out a little bit and then we'll get the hell out of here. But before we get into all of the fun stuff, I want to tell you guys, like, share, subscribe to the show if you wouldn't mind. We've passed the 11,500 mark here on the show, so thank you guys for supporting. Trying to get to 1,500 or 15,000 by opening day. That would be pretty dang cool if you could help us out. And also comment in the video, whether it's live or after the fact. Let me know your thoughts about the team, what's going on, what you're seeing so far out of Mookie Betts at shortstop, Max Muncy getting the first ABS challenge of the spring, all that kind of stuff. Yamamoto, we're going to talk Yama in a second here, but also, if you guys can't watch live and you can't watch on YouTube, do check out the podcast version of the show, Apple, Spotify. Please consider leaving a nice rating and review on that show if you can. It does help out the show. But let's hang out with the chat a little bit here. I'm seeing Steven Munoz say we're only 2 games in and the Dodgers haters are all hating on TikTok. They hate us because they ain't us. Yeah, man, Dodgers looking real rough through 2 games. They've lost by, what is it? I think the first game was like 12-3, 12-4, something like that. The other yesterday, 7-3 or whatever. I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of that game, but I saw it was out of hand early, and I was like, all right, I'm good. Whatever. It's spring training. Let's just kind of let it vibe a little bit. BC bringing up a very good point in the chat. Listen, lineup isn't very strong right now. We're playing with a lot of B lineups. Today's lineup, not great at all. James Outman leading off, Teoscar Hernandez in the 2-hole, but not a whole lot of star power in there. Hae-Sung Kim at shortstop, that's something to watch for sure. Mookie Betts gets his first day off of the spring, 3 games in. But yeah, saying the lineup isn't very strong, but be surprised if they win, especially today. And we don't care. Winning, it doesn't matter in spring training. We've seen teams, I've seen the Angels go out there and be the Cactus League, like have the best record of the Cactus League and go on to be, a 5th place team in the AL East, or AL West. So it doesn't really matter what happens here. Still, after all the headlines, we would feel a lot better if, our best hitter so far this spring wasn't like Eddie Rosario. But yeah, let's get into it. Let's have a little Cactus League catch up since we've been gone. Thoughts on those first 2 games. Yes, Dodgers 0-2. So we should say boo, sell the... Oh, that's the wrong button. Boo, sell the team, Friedman, even though he's not the owner and the manager and all that kind of stuff. He can't do that, but let's just have some fun with it either way. I mentioned... The biggest highlight, Eddie Rosario, as we all expected, knocking in. That's the wrong screen, so let's not that button either. Let's go back to this one. Listen, we got this. We got this on lock, guys. Don't worry. It's spring training for me as well, as I totally had everything ready and executed. But yeah, like we all thought, we all expected Eddie Rosario hitting the first home run for the Dodgers of the spring. It's just how you draw it up. Big game Eddie with the bomba here off the Cubs in game 1. 2-run homer wearing number 9, Gavin Lux. Rest in peace, buddy. But otherwise, outside of that, not much. There really hasn't been much going on. Hitting side, defensive side of things, not a ton to write home about yet. Mookie Betts looking decent at shortstop. We'll talk Mookie Betts later on in the show and other things. This is just a catch up. Obviously, you guys already know a lot of this stuff. I just want to touch on some things for people who maybe aren't paying as much attention to spring training. But maybe there's a mini World Series hangover in there. It doesn't help this team to not have Shohei Ohtani in the lineup. But again, it's important to punch this fact. These games do not matter, and we can have a little bit of fun pretending the world is on fire. Mr. Crush Guts, is it too early for a beer? It is not. It is 11:11. Make a wish. I wish for a beer, but I'm not going to have a beer today. I might drink later, but we got something special potentially coming soon to an All Dodgers store near you. Working on it. Prototype 1 beer koozie. Stay tuned for anybody that wants that kind of stuff. Discord got a first look at it. Before I get too far into the show, I do got to tell you guys about Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. They have the largest selection on odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to NHL, UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one source for betting, sports betting this year. So every three-pointer, every hat trick, they got you covered. BetOnline has the odds, they have the stats, they have more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, check it out. Appreciate you guys hearing me out about BetOnline, and we will get back into it. So we got the updates out of the way. Let's talk about the good from the spring so far. Yamamoto says it right there on the bottom. Yamamoto was good in his Cactus League debut, starting the lid lifter for the Dodgers. An inning and 2/3, 2 strikeouts, 3 hits, no runs. He says he's feeling good. He's telling reporters he's on the way, or he's way ahead compared to the last couple of years. And of course, in spring training last year, I wouldn't say he was a liability, but he had, if I remember correctly, had a good debut. Then he kind of struggled. And, of course, we all remember what happened in Korea on opening day against the Padres in the Korea series, in the Seoul series. Did not look good, gave up 5 runs, only recorded 3 outs, and that was it. But for him to feel as good as he is right now, I feel stoked. I feel hyped. I've said it already a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. This is a dude who is my Cy Young Award frontrunner. The season hasn't started, but I feel confident in this dude. I like this dude. I think year 2, to see what Yama could bring to the table, bring to the mound, bring as an ace for this team that also added more talent with somebody like Blake Snell and Roki Sasaki, to have Yamamoto kind of be that steadying presence, be somebody that we Jeff Snyder and I talked about it on Locked On Dodgers a couple days ago. Jeff has Yamamoto leading the team in innings, and I would be shocked, but it's also something where you wouldn't be terribly surprised if it happened. If he stays healthy, goes out there every 6th day, he's somebody who can straight up be an ace and be a leader for this team. But you didn't hear about this. You didn't hear about the comfort level or these type of like positive things we're hearing about Yamamoto. You didn't hear that a year ago. You hear getting acclimated, some things with the fastball command, the splitter, all that kind of stuff just wasn't the same. So now we're seeing good, and we're seeing him feel good. We're seeing the confidence in there. Hopefully that translates to a big time season for Yama. The other thing, Tony Gonsolin, back on the bump. The Catman is back. He's out there strutting his stuff. First technically big league outing since August of 2023. Of course, he went down with the elbow injury, was pitching with an elbow injury throughout a lot of that 2023 season, but ultimately required the Tommy John surgery. Nearly got back late last year. Could have been available, but Dodgers told him shut it down. Kind of completed his rehab process during the postseason with the team. But, we've said it a few times on the channel this offseason and into spring training, like kind of don't sleep on Tony Gonsolin. Give him some love. And I'm happy to see him. I'll talk about it in a second. Dave Roberts echoing that sentiment as well. But before the elbow started barking, like really barking on the Catman, which is funny because cats don't bark. Anyways, he had an ERA around like 2 over his previous 33 starts. And that's all of his 2022, his All-Star 2022 season, part of his, I think it was 9 starts in his 2023 season before the elbow really started giving. Again, ERA around 2 over 33 starts. That's a decent sample size in my opinion. And that's something I look forward to, and seeing Tony Gonsolin back in the bump, knowing that he doesn't need to be an ace for this team. He doesn't need to lead the team in innings or starts or wins or anything like that. Going back a little bit, $2 super chat from our friend Seth Klein says, Yama gonna be a monster. Yeah, I'm really looking forward. Sorik, Cyrus, I'm probably saying that wrong. Appreciate you in the chat. Going back a little bit, that's what Yama's getting paid for, to be the ace. Mr. Crush Guts, Gonsolin is a pitcher and May is a thrower. Hopefully Dustin May learns how to throw or pitch a little bit more. But yeah, I agree. Tony Gonsolin is a pitcher. He's got that dog in him. The Catman's got that dog. Listen, I'm not gonna not make these stupid animal references here, but on to Tony. Makes that start. He tossed a scoreless inning, 2 Ks in his Cactus League debut as well on Friday, and he acknowledged that even he, in his mind, maybe a little bit of a forgotten man in this stacked rotation, which makes sense when you see all the names that are above him. Clayton Kershaw is going to be back at some point in time. He told reporters, he tries not to pay attention to that. He's just trying to go out there and compete and see what happens. He's doing his part. He's here to do his job. Just giving you the old whatever ho-hum Dodger toe the company line. I like to compete. Stay within myself, try not to do too much, and I like Tony not paying attention to it. Just let the pitching speak for him. If he's healthy, good things are going to happen, and that's one of the things Dave Roberts kind of echoed as well, along with saying, hey, I haven't forgot about the Catman at all. He told reporters, Dave, after the game, with where he's at now, he looks really sharp. The ball is coming out good. He likes the command. The breaking stuff looked good. Everything looked good, but this is the important thing. We just can't forget how good Tony has been for us when he's healthy. So I'm certainly not sleeping on Tony Gonsolin. I think he's going to be good for us, and I agree with that as well. Listen, coming off a full regular offseason after essentially, like I said earlier, being done with his rehab in October, completing the rehab process and having the full offseason, I've said it a few times, he's the front runner to land that 5th starter job, even with Dustin May around, even with Bobby Miller and the injury. We're going to talk Bobby Miller in a second. Tough break, Bobby. But he's my guy, man. He's my guy, and knowing that he's gonna be the 5th guy and then 6th guy when Shohei slides into that rotation, I feel good. I really feel good about where the Catman is and where he fits into the whole starting pitching outlook for this team. Let's talk. I mentioned Bobby Miller there. Let's talk about Big Game Bob, because of course we had just talked about Bobby Miller. Robert Miller a couple days ago makes his debut following Yoshinobu Yamamoto and takes a line drive off the bat of former Dodger and friend and teammate Michael Busch. Got to feel bad for Busch in that situation, but thankfully it appears to be okay. Thankfully, it seems like Bobby has avoided the worst case scenario there. No fractures, comes into camp to the last couple of days with just a headache, was in good spirits after the fact, according to Max Muncy, kind of joking around with reporters. He mentioned today, did Bobby Miller, like, hey, it's one of those scariest things as a pitcher, the comebacker, worrying about that comebacker, the line drive off the head. But it would, maybe thick-skulled Bobby Miller, maybe, that helped him out a whole lot there. He says it wasn't as bad as he thought, and definitely not as bad as it could have been, because it looked bad. 106 miles an hour off the bat could have been disgusting, but he's hoping to get back out there again. There's a chance he could be throwing again, pretty dang soon. $2 super chat from our friend Seth saying Bobby Miller will return with a vengeance. Of course, he has to wait to get through that concussion protocol before he'll be allowed to toe the rubber again for this team. Alex Renteria, Bobby Miller head equals stone. He's made out of stone. No, Gavin Stone is injured. He's got the Tommy John, so he'll be out. Or was it Tommy John? Shoulder surgery, whatever it was. It was a bad joke. I could have just left it alone there. But Bobby Miller, got lucky. That's just a fact there. Bobby Miller straight up got lucky. Timmy saying Bobby was throwing straight fastballs before that, but I'm gonna ignore it. Yeah. Listen, the spring training, it's game one. He got I forgot who was it, Justin Jarvis, who came in after him. Man, he did not help out Bobby Miller in the slightest there. That ERA is not going to look good this spring, but I still feel good enough about Bobby having enough opportunity, having enough chance to prove himself this spring and potentially earn that fifth starter spot, even though I don't think it happens. He has options. He needs to start every 5 days at AAA, and that's most likely what's going to happen. But he's somebody who will play an important role for this team somewhere down the line. That much we do promise. Phil in the chat. What's going on, Mr. Phil Fountain, saying people have forgotten, going back to Gonsolin, that his last fully healthy season was he went 16-1 with a 2.14 ERA. So let him cook. Same with Bobby backward Beanball Miller too. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, I love me some Tony Gonsolin, and I mentioned 33 start stretch where he had an ERA. I think it was technically under 2, but right around 2. Very, very good pitcher when he's right. He can upset people's rhythm, people's timing. He's got the splitter to go with that fastball. The fastball can touch in the upper 90s. I don't expect him to sit there. It probably will sit, as Dave Roberts said, closer to 92, 93, something like that, maybe 94, which is perfectly fine for the Catman, as long as he's got the splitty going, mixing a slider, a little bit of curveball in there. Then we're in a good spot. Craig agrees as well, or I should say I agree with Craig, saying Bobby Miller is AAA to start. I think it's good. I think it's good for him there. Kay Vaughn talking about Bobby Miller, the expression didn't even change. I think that's just Bobby, man. Like, he's got that. He's stoic, he feels nothing. He feels no pain, sees no pain. Something like that, maybe. Bobby's a dog. But he needs to be mentally right to get himself, and healthy, mentally healthy as well, or physically healthy as well, to pitch better than we saw him pitching last year. I should do this now. I got another thing I do got to tell you guys about, because about where we're at in the time of the show. It's going to be a shorter show before first pitch here, Game 3, ahead of Game 3, but I do want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy, guys. It's the easiest place to play all your fantasy sports, and it's now proudly helping support us here at the All Dodgers podcast, and you can help support them, which helps support us by clicking the link in the description below. But I'll tell you, if you want to make some picks on your favorite sports, Underdog Fantasy offers a unique approach to fantasy sports with a simple pick'em style format, so it's super easy to kind of figure that one out. And we're getting closer to the season, which means we're getting closer to being able to play together and make some picks on these games along the way. But here is how it works, guys. You just pick higher or lower on between 2 and 8 players, and you can win up to 325 times your daily entry, or sorry, not your daily, but 325 times your entry. That says 100x. It's 325x with the promo code All Dodgers. It's right here. I got to get better at pointing, but new users get a free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash, which is just as good as money when you use that promo code All Dodgers. So we'll be making next week. I'm going to plan it for next week. Maybe, no, actually, it's going to be 2 weeks. 2 weeks, Discord chat. We will make our 2025 regular season picks together as a family. And if you want to be a part of that, check out our Discord. But if you want to be a part of doing it your own, sign up at underdogfantasy.com today. Download the app or click the link in the description and use that promo code All Dodgers for your free pick and up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Thank you so much for hearing me out about this. All the links are in the description, and let's get back into this. Guys, I want to talk about Will Smith. So we got some important updates out of Camelback Ranch. A lot of news has happened the last couple of days. Will Smith, once again, hurt. We're hearing about some nagging injuries. He's got an ankle issue right now. And one of the things that's bothered me a little bit about this is right now we're hearing about another sort of secret injury. We call it a secret Dodger injury that, Dave Roberts shared more about this week, but it's another injury with Will Smith in particular. And so far, again, the right ankle injury, it's kept him out of action so far this spring. But shockingly, we're now learning that it was affecting him last year down the season. Suddenly, it was affecting him down the stretch last season. This ankle injury was affecting him. So we got the latest Matthew Moreno of DodgerBlue.com tweeting about it. It's a right ankle, or Dave mentioning highly impacted him a lot, not highly. It's not a high ankle sprain. Sorry, I'm going to slow it down here. Right ankle injury impacted him a lot last season. So the right ankle messes definitely with his throwing. It's going to mess with a little bit of push off on hitting. And overall, just not something you want to deal with your star catcher. We heard a similar line, the last line there. He'll never use that as an excuse, but I certainly think it played a part. Now, again, we heard something very similar last year. Will Smith suddenly, magically, I should say, dealt with rib issues in 2023, but it only became a problem after he started struggling with the bat in 2023. A bit of a down year for what we're used to with Will Smith. 2024, the worst season so far of his career, hitting .248 with a .760 OPS. It's worth mentioning his OPS has dropped every year since 2021. I'm not here to trash Will Smith. I'm just saying I would like to see, I know they're not going to, I'd like to see the Dodgers maybe be a little bit more open and honest with some of these injuries. I like to see them maybe not say, oh, well, yeah, his ribs were hurting. I mean, yeah, they were fractured early in the season, but then he hit still like 320 for a stretch after the being hit by a pitch early in the year last year, and then it became a problem. Yeah, maybe he developed bad habits or whatever, but it's a symptom, it's a pattern with this team. And when I'm reading this, like I'm saying, I don't want to, I'm not shitting on Will Smith here. He's still one of the better catchers in the game, obviously, but this is starting to feel, at least when it comes to spring training and us having to hear something different, I'm just getting shades of like old school Russell Martin, 2008, 2009 into 2010. He makes his debut. He's great, and then the numbers kind of start falling off, and we're hearing, he's coming into camp best shape of his life, and trying to chase those numbers. Russell Martin always tried to chase the numbers he had in the first 2 full seasons of his career. And then, dislocates the hip, breaks the hip, and then leaves LA, all that kind of stuff. Again, this takes me back more so to something I've been saying about Will over the last 10, 12 months, maybe less than that, or maybe longer. I don't know. I might have said it back in the day on Blue Heaven. But in my opinion on this, the Dodgers might need to work a little bit harder to keep him fresh, to give Will some days off, more days off per week, more time to rest and recover, and maintain, we'll call it the off-season level of workouts. Catchers break down. This we know, we have seen it. It is the easiest thing to project. You have a catcher that catches more than 115, 120 games. Their numbers are going to be better at the start of the season than they are at the end of the season. It's a tough job. This much we know. Listen, I'm not a major league catcher. I'm gonna spend some time in the coming weeks with a former major league catcher as foul territory team, and I head out to spring training. I do want to get some opinions on this because it is something that I haven't really talked to a catcher about, but it just feels to me like it's damn near impossible to keep the same workout regimen going during a season with all the other things you need to do during a game day. I mean, especially with the Dodgers, there's game planning, leading these team meetings about whatever the strategy is going to be against that day's opponent. Then you got to go out and do your stretches. You got to get your cage work, your live BPs in. You got to go out there and catch that the starting pitcher for that day. Do pregame bullpen. You got to go out there and catch 9 innings, and then you got to do it again the next day. Just talking about that, I'm fucking exhausted. I'm beat. Now, you can imagine in the offseason, Will Smith, let's just say, for example, doing his workout, doing his squats, lifting, all of this kind of stuff. You heard me just say all that stuff, a day-to-day in the life of a catcher, how beat up you're going to get. You're not going to want to do the same workouts. And then you're going to get potentially more injury prone because you're not as in good of shape as you were at the start of the season, which is just understandable. You're also more beat up because you're playing 162 games over 180, what is it? 183 day stretch, whatever it is. There's a lot. So my point to this, and going back to what I said, I've said it last maybe couple of years, maybe. Will needs an understudy. Will needs a backup. Said another way, the Dodgers need a catcher 1B to go to Will's 1A. Will Smith is going to be here a long time. Signed that 10-year contract extension. He's going to be the starting catcher for a while. He told us that in episode 3 or 4 of Dodgers Territory last season, shortly after inking that 10-year contract. I asked him, is there any plans somewhere down the road to move off of the position? He says, no, I'm going to be the catcher, and he's going to catch as long as he can, which is fine. But I think with that said, as Foop is giving some in the chat, giving some love to Austin Barnes, breakout spring. Austin Barnes is not the answer, guys. I love Barnesy. Barnesy had himself a nice season last year, first time in a while. Kind of had himself a little bit of a bounce back season, hitting not 170 or whatever. But there's a reason Dalton Rushing is in camp. Yeah, he's ready to go. But he's in camp, but he's not catching. But I don't know if anybody has seen the reports on this. The team is kind of putting Dalton on a game day routine crash course. They're having him lead game planning meetings, like with pitching coaches, with the pitchers that day, what strategies he would take against that day's opponent if he were calling balls and strikes, not calling balls and strikes, but at least calling pitches for the pitcher. How would he attack hitters that day? I like that. I like the Dodgers accelerating his progression, accelerating him getting ready for the big leagues here. Because let's be fair, Will Smith, one knock on him very early in his career. I mean, some folks might remember it wasn't so much that Clayton Kershaw only wanted to throw to Austin Barnes. Clayton Kershaw didn't say it directly, but his all the words around it felt to me like he didn't really trust throwing to Will Smith then. Smitty has become a phenomenal game caller. He's, again, one of the best catchers, arguably 1, 2, 3 in baseball these days. But again, he's on a downward spiral when it comes to his hitting, and I think rest will help him out. And I think having somebody like Dalton Rushing around helps him out a whole lot. Dave Roberts had mentioned Dalton Rushing. He sees the bat as, quote, major league ready. So we're going to see Dalton Rushing at some point this year. The Dodgers are trying to have him move back to doing a lot more catching, maybe playing some first base. They might abandon a little bit of that outfield experiment, but Dalton Rushing is going to be the key to a happier, healthier, and better version of Will Smith, in my opinion. So there's that. I just wanted to kind of, I don't know if it's an open air complaint or just kind of share a concern about Will Smith and the Dodgers and a sort of pattern we've seen the last couple of years. He had a rough 2023, still good, but a rough 2023. And his ribs were hurt. Had a rough 2024. His ankle was hurt. Okay, if he's hurt, get him some rest. Get him a better catcher. Chances are high that this is Austin Barnes' last season with the Dodgers, so he needs some help. All of that aside, we should be seeing Will Smith in games next week. This, according to Dave Roberts, I think this was yesterday, and I could see by looking at the date, yes, it was yesterday. Should be starting some games next week. Expected to be ready and available for the Tokyo series against the Cubs. In about 3.5 weeks or something like that. You also see let's move on a little bit. Freddie Freeman, alive and well, progressing well from that offseason ankle surgery. He's hitting. He's expected to be in games as well starting next week, probably as a DH. Big note there. We got Shohei Roki. We're going to talk that in a second here. Roki could be making at least his first start next week. We learned today it might not be, let's find the right one here. It might not be in an A game right here, as Fabian Ardaya tweets today, Roki Sasaki is TBD, and they might put him in a backfields game for Roki Sasaki, which is not bad. Listen, he's already had, we talked about it on Dodgers territory last on Thursday. The shot, all of these people staring at Roki Sasaki making his first live BP appearance of the spring, to get maybe a few eyes off of Roki might not be such a bad thing. I'm not opposed to him maybe getting a backfields, and yeah, fans will go out there and they'll still flood the area, but still just kind of dip his toes in, not throw him into the deep end. Let's dip his toes in the water a little bit. So that could be something like that. So chances are we see him Wednesday or Thursday, Sasaki, but we might not see him on TV. But another thing like that, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, the Tampa Bay Rays reunion there. They should be getting off the bump for the Dodgers in the coming week, in the coming week as well, either Monday or Tuesday. So that's good there. There's some more updates, more headlines there. Let's shift gears a little bit to the Shohei Ohtani thing. As I mentioned from the last one, Ohtani, another bullpen session today, 25 pitches once again. All fastballs, two-seam, four-seam. I don't know if you guys have seen the narrative too, or the storyline out there. With the Angels, he pitched almost exclusively, if not exclusively, out of the stretch. Now he's introducing a windup with the Dodgers. Could be something to watch. Whatever, this is an FYI. But Shohei continues to ramp up both as a hitter and as a pitcher. Hoping we can get some DH Shohei in a game in the next 2 weeks, they said some point before, or some point at the end of February. So that's what we're hoping, which would be late next week for Shohei. But let's get back in. Let's get some thoughts from the chat, and then we'll do a couple more things, and then we'll get out of here before first pitch. There we go. Dan Moreno asking, when will Ohtani see spring action? If I were to ballpark it, and going off of what they said, Friday might be reasonable. Maybe Thursday, as early as Thursday, could be a reasonable get Shohei in a game for 1 or 2 at-bats. He won't pitch. He will not pitch. He might not. There's high likelihood he won't pitch until he makes his 2025 debut on the mound for the big league team. I'm still maintaining hope that he pitches in the Freeway Series against the Angels. Not super likely, but I'd love to see him just get that chance. I think that'd be kind of fun for everybody involved, him to either pitch against the Angels at Dodger Stadium or, against the Angels at Angel Stadium. There it is. I almost lost my train of thought there. But That's my guess. Is if it's not that, it'll be the first week of March for Shohei Ohtani. Let's see in the chat. Grizzly Oso, it's good to see you, man. How you doing? Says, so if rushing is the up and coming, then why isn't he catching, and who is he? That is a great couple of questions there. Why isn't he catching? So right now, like I said, he is sort of working on a big league catcher crash course with the front office, with the team, with the rest of the catching crew and coaches. I think we can see him starting to get into games probably next week, maybe 2 weeks from now. He should start behind the plate 1 or 2 games, maybe upwards of 4 games this spring. We won't see a lot of him, a lot like the Dodgers did last year with Andy Pages. I don't think we see a lot of Dalton behind the plate, at least in a big league Cactus League game. But he should get some opportunities, and it's not going to affect whether or not they call him up at some point during the season, because he will be one of those dudes. It's, like I said earlier, Dave Roberts said the bat is ready. To the other question from Grizzly Oso, who is he? He is the Dodgers' top prospect, the top hitting prospect in the team, in the farm system for sure. He's one of the top prospects in all of baseball. He is a catching prospect, and he's one of those dudes that they've sort of labeled as a can't miss kind of guy. he's somebody you need to be excited about. What we're going to do more of a feature on rushing later on, either this week or next. We did talk to my buddy Casey Porter of Dodgers Daily, one of my favorite people when it comes to covering the Dodgers prospects. He does a great job, and we talked a lot with him about Dalton Rushing earlier in the offseason in January. So I'm going to put together something where Kevin and I are talking about Rushing, things alike, for us to look forward to, and then we'll revisit that conversation we had with Casey about Rushing. But watch him. I had also mentioned Dalton Rushing is one of my guys, one of my non-roster invitees to watch. Watch him. He's also got that big booty for anybody that's interested in that kind of stuff. So check out the future big dumper for the Dodgers, Dalton Rushing. Guys, it's that kind of show. It's Saturday. I'm going to have a sip of coffee here. But I appreciate you guys hanging out with me so far, a little bit more, and then we will hit the wrap it up button and hopefully maybe be live again later or tomorrow. Definitely back on Monday. So like the show, share it, subscribe to the channel, sound off in the comments as well. Like, who beyond Dalton Rushing are you most excited about seeing? Whether you're watching this live or you're watching the replay, who are you most excited about seeing this spring training of the prospects, guys? Like I said, I'm Dalton Rushing. Today we get to see Nick Frasso make a start for the team after coming off of shoulder surgery, labrum surgery that cost him the entirety of the 2025 season. So sound off in the comments. Let's move on. We got some more headlines. We'll sort of quick hitter these ones-ish, but Evan Phillips got off a mound for the first time this spring after showing up to camp behind schedule with the shoulder issue of his own, the same shoulder issue that kept him off the Dodgers World Series roster last year. Has a torn or had a tear in his shoulder, a tear in his labrum, had a PRP injection to hopefully help it heal and not have to undergo surgery. I really hate the PRP thing, because if it does end up needing to be a surgery situation, I mean, either way, it would have cost him 2025, but hopefully he doesn't need surgery down the road. I'm not going to be pessimistic about this. We'll be optimistic and be grateful the fact that he is throwing off a mound, still behind schedule, not expected to be ready for the opening day roster. But now if we're seeing him throw off a mound, he's somebody who could be ready mid-April, something like that. Mid-April seems to be on the table, but mid to late April for sure. Same with Michael Kopech. He is on the come, as Dave Roberts might say. Threw off a mound today, but to a standing catcher. So inherently that tells me not the same intensity that you would usually throw downhill. Still good, still behind schedule, still not on the table for him to be available for the opening day roster. Matt Leiter, I'm assuming, saying Ben Kasparius will pitch a no with Rushing. One of the things I wanted to say, the Kopech issue or the Kopech situation and the Evan Phillips situation, to me, that's great news for somebody like a Casper. Ben Kasparius could very well be on this team for opening day, could join the team in Tokyo, because they're going to need a couple of pitchers and they're going to need a reliever. I know a lot of minor league, the prospects, knowers, the guys who have watched these names at the minor league level a whole bunch. They love Ben Kasparius as a starter. What I saw in relief was fucking nasty, and I want to see more of that. We got a $4.99 super chat from our friend Richie Flores. Appreciate you, Richard, hanging out with us, saying the Dodgers ran Smith into the ground all because they kept Barnes on the roster, but don't trust him to play more. Just saying. It's a take. It's a thought. I don't disagree with that take. I think if the Dodgers had a better backup catcher, or more so, a tandem catcher, he would not be in the same situation. And I see you, IB Stroking. I'm just doing my Davism. That's one of my favorite Davisms. And you guys know that's one of my favorite Davisms. Speaking of Dave, we don't really need to dive too much into this one, but guys, we've seen 2 games now. Mookie Betts as the catcher, as the catcher, idiot. a lot of catcher talk today. We've seen him as the shortstop a whole lot in these 2 games because there's only 2 games. That makes it a whole lot. And one of the things that's really good about Mookie and shortstop is he's admittedly, I haven't watched all the games, but from what I've seen, people are saying he's making his plays. So if he's not, I apologize for speaking out of my ass here. But what I'm hearing is he's making his plays. And one of the things Dave Roberts had said is quote, "You could tell the work he put in the offseason. Each day is getting more comfortable." And he's certainly a positive right now. Miguel Rojas echoed Doc's sentiment. Mookie, he's an edgy dude so far this spring training when speaking to media. He had a little bit more edge to his response to questions about that move to shortstop, saying, "I'm really excited to prove everybody wrong." And I love chip on the shoulder Mookie. As Dodger fans, we've never had to see that. I guess we kind of saw it in the postseason last year after 2 very bad spring or postseasons for him. We had more of an edge from Mookie there, and to get edgy Mookie shortstop, I love it. I'll say this. You know, we had the conversation a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago. My buddy Greg Bergman, ESPN LA producer extraordinaire, does a whole bunch of things on the radio all the time on 710. We had the conversation a couple weeks ago where Greg had kind of, we'll say, it was very critical of the team, the team's decision to go with Mookie as the shortstop. And I maintained then, and I'm maintaining now, I have faith, I have belief in Mookie Betts, and I'll say that if it works, same thing I said then, if it works, my God, are the Dodgers going to look like geniuses. 5 years ago, they traded for their starting shortstop. I got to stop saying catcher. Starting shortstop of the future, and he is somebody who very well could dethrone a Shohei Ohtani in a pursuit of another MVP. If you get Mookie doing Mookie things with the bat and playing average to above average shortstop, we're going to be good. We're going to be very good spot when it comes to Mookie Betts. $20 super chat from our friend Kevin Uhas. Thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate the hell out of you, as you know. One of my favorites here. Had the privilege of meeting Kevin Uhas a couple of times in real life as well at our All Dodgers meetups. Just a good dude. A lot of good people, guys. Before I read his super chat, I'll tell you, if you don't know about it, check out our Discord. A lot of great conversation had there. We've become international too. We've added some fans, some friends from Japan in the chat. So I would say check that out. You have to sign up at our Patreon or our YouTube members. It's $5 a month to be able to join our Discord. But you're also supporting independent Dodgers coverage here on the internet. So I'd appreciate it if you did check that out. But Uhas, going back to what he says, I agree with your take on Smith. Best version we had of Smitty was 300 to 400 at bats. Dump truck rushing should help Smitty get Smitty that rest. Also, I need a fun question answered. What's my walk-up song? What is my walk-up song? You know what? I've always wanted to, and this goes back to the birth of the whole Real FRG on my old podcast. Whenever I came, my voice came onto the podcast, we had "It's Raining Man, Hallelujah." And now imagine the vibes at Dodger Stadium with that blaring through, having DJ Severe drop the needle on "It's Raining Men" as I come to the plate. Number 28, Clint Pasillas, and I strike out. Man, vibes right there. It's a terrible song. It's a terrible idea, but that's always in my head. So I appreciate you, Haas, for the question. You are the man, and I appreciate you. Philip saying you never tell Mookie no. You don't tell the great ones not to be great. I predict a Gold Glove at shortstop for Mookie Betts. Hey, you know what? Mookie Betts predicts a Gold Glove at shortstop for Mookie Betts as well, and that's the right freaking attitude. Ricardo, it's raining, man. Hey, I'm just telling you, that's a bop. Imagine that, man. That would be a bop. Seth, you're here for it. Heidi, I'm assuming that's Heidi. I appreciate that. If I'm getting that wrong, I apologize. Says love it. Yeah, I'm telling you, we'll have a good time It's raining, man. The final thing I wanted to say before we get out of here, again, we are getting close to first pitch. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you guys giving me a couple of days off. Worked on some things in the back end of the show yesterday. Thursday, I just took a very much needed mental day off. Wasn't feeling good, but now we're feeling back. We're locked in for justice. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, I'll just read what it says here. A new installation at Camelback Ranch. Something you could see at CBR if you guys happen to get out there. The Dodgers posted it this week. That's right. So throughout Camelback Ranch, they have all of the team, the former MVPs. They have rookies of the year. They have a whole bunch of stuff. On the Dodgers side of camp, of course, Camelback is shared with the White Sox, so the White Sox side is different. But at Dodger camp, up through the minor league side and everything, there's a whole bunch of stuff like this. So this is Shohei's installation for his 2024 National League MVP award. You could also see Cy Young award winners out there, I believe. And like I said, rookie of the years, there's names of like little cross sections and walkways out there at Camelback Ranch. It's a beautiful park. It's not my favorite ballpark out there. The thing I like most about it is that it has the Dodgers there. There are more open and fun places to see a ball game in Arizona than Glendale, but that's pretty cool. And if you guys do get out to Camelback Ranch, I'd say go check it out. Go take some pictures with the 2024 MVP. And I'll be out there 2 weeks. I think it's exactly 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks actually. I'll be out there to see it in all of its glory, alongside with my Dodgers Territory co-host Alana Rizzo and some friends over at Foul Territory. We'll be out there, and we'll be rocking all through that Monday the 10th. We have an interview with Dave Roberts and so on and so forth. So check it out. Best way to know what's going on, guys, follow me on social media. You see Real FRG there on the Twitter, X on the Instagram. Sometimes I post on the Blue Sky, Threads, things go there. So check all of the things out. I don't do TikTok, but I do YouTube, guys. Subscribe to the channel, like the show, share it. Really help out the channel. That's all I'm telling you. If you guys want more content, that's the best way to help us keep on growing. I appreciate you guys helping us get to 11,500 subscribers so far. That is pretty dang cool. And we're going to keep it going. We're going to keep it going. But for fun, on the way out of here, guys, drop into the chat, into the comment section. What is your Dodgers spring training record prediction? I'm interested in that. We'll see who is closest. I'll drop mine in the chat as well. Had a couple of voicemails. I'm not going to play them today. We'll get them in. I apologize. I think they're from our definitely from our buddies Richie and Noah. I do apologize for not getting to those, but I need to get out of here. My voice is a little burnt, and again, it's almost game time. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all the great questions, the comments, hanging out with us here on this Saturday. Thank you also for the super chats. I want to thank our channel members, our Patreon supporters. I see you, Matty Man 5 Dodge, and I love it. 0-22. But thank you to the Patreon and YouTube channel members and supporters for helping us keep the show on, helping us bring the best content and more content and all that kind of stuff. I'll say again, if you're looking for a different way to support the show and join the community, check out patreon.com/realfrg, or click the join button here on YouTube, or just click any of the links down in the description below. Shout out to our moderators for doing a kick-ass job in the chat and making this a good chat, making this a smart enough chat. We do that. Alex, I see it. Says, Clint, I'm working hard between this channel and Dodgers Territory. I need to take some days off here and there. Listen, I will. Spring training, though, I get excited. I get excited for spring training. All Dodgers is presented by Bet Online. Again, I'm Real FRG. Give me a follow. All the links to everything is in the descriptions below. Check out Underdog Fantasy. Help me out on that, and we will see you on the next one. Bye!